District. Joining us now, Congressman, 2nd District, Scott Rigell. Congressman, good to have you with us, sir.
John, good to be with you. And look, I really respect the road show. I mean, you are where the action is, and I bet you're enjoying it, but it's also hard work. But I respect that.
Well, thank you. We've been up here since Saturday. It's not easy. We were in Des Moines for 5 days last week in Iowa. This is very different than Iowa. They had a record turnout there, but the whole caucus thing is very different. Up here,
yes.
You show up at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., you vote, you go home. Big difference. And look, Trump should win. I'm predicting he is. I think Sanders is going to have a huge night. I can just tell you that. We went to another rally of his yesterday afternoon at some amphitheater. He had it was just people waiting out the door. He's going to win big. But you never know in New Hampshire because undecideds break late. So who knows? Anything can happen in Dixville Notch. Doesn't mean anything, but Governor Kasich did well. So we'll find out soon enough.
Let me just say 75% turnout, if it's even anything close to that, that's encouraging about our country. Now, on the flip side, that Bernie Sanders is doing so well, that's very disturbing. I mean, in the sense that if people really take back the veneer of what he's advocating, I think it's the antithesis of who we are as Americans when we're at our best. I mean, I really believe that. If you really talk to some of the supporters and you ask them why they support him and what they believe, it's almost incompatible with a free market and a market-based economy and other things. So it's just that does trouble me.
A lot of it is what he says about a political revolution and the system is rigged and bankers and Wall Street control everything, the money in politics, Citizens United. A lot of what he says, look, these trade deals, U.S. workers have been hurt. We're certainly with him on that. But I'm telling you what it is. Half of it is him. Half of it is the fact that people just are not enthusiastic about Hillary Clinton.
That's true. Hillary
can't
Clinton Yep.
You can't manufacture
I agree with that.
enthusiasm.
And I also think, by the way, with respect to the big banks, I really believe that they ought to be broken up into smaller units. And I know that that surprises some people, but I don't think it was right to consolidate all those services and allow the biggest banks to get even bigger. And I know some of my friends in the banking industry don't agree with that, but that's all right. But, I guess you could say you could pull out 1 or 2 points where you say philosophically there is some alignment here, which will make for some interesting dynamics when people have to actually make their final choice. But anyway, it's good to catch up with you. I thank you for having me on the show.
Okay, yesterday in a video Facebook press conference, very innovative by the way, Randy Forbes, my congressman, 4th District, I guess leaving us to the wolves, decides to run in the 2nd District, your district, after you decided to retire after 3 terms. A lot of people not comfortable with it. I've heard things like carpetbagger. I've heard things like who cares about what experience he has. You got Sheriff Ken Stolley, very powerful there. Came on my show, absolutely blasted the move. And a lot of people saying, is this about Randy or what's this about?
No, look, it's the exact opposite of that. Now, some people are making the case, that argument that you just made for their own selfish ambition. I mean, that's one half of it. The other half of it is if people really understand what's occurred here. I really believe that it was a partisan-driven effort here that basically blew out Randy's congressional lines. It's not the 4th congressional district as we know it now. It reaches way up into almost grabs Richmond. It's not the same district. And if we think about who Randy is in character, his leadership ability, his ability to defend and be an advocate for our men and women in uniform, including right here at home as the chairman of Sea Power, and projection forces on House Armed Services. Look, I've been up here, Randy, as John, for 5 years, and I've seen how this works. We can't lose Randy. And I called Randy. He didn't call me. I called him after I made my announcement. Right after the announcement, I said, Randy, please pivot and come to Virginia 2. And by the way, he didn't immediately say, oh, yes. What he said was, Scott, I'm humbled by your call. Thank you. And that was it. He needed to wrestle with the decision. I actually, frankly, I'm offended by the charge. You know, I'm not even going to say it. You know, some of those charges and the labels that are being directed toward my friend, they're not valid. I mean, this is about our country. This is about our Commonwealth of Virginia, and this is about our region. Because as chairman of Sea Power, he's got not only the gavel, as he said yesterday in the Facebook message, but also the pen. You know, an ink pen, and basically they write the National Defense Authorization Act. And if we would be so foolish as a region to give that pen and that gavel to somebody from California or somebody from Florida or somebody from New England, and they want it. And right now, we've lost so much leadership within Virginia, starting way back with our majority leader. And we need to have Randy Forbes in Congress. My wife, Terry, and I are enthusiastically behind him. I am so thankful to him as a fellow American that he's willing to do this. And we're doing everything we can to help him, from the Maryland line all the way down the eastern shore to Virginia Beach and over onto the peninsula. We're with Randy Forbes.
Let's go back to Congressman Scott Rigell live in Virginia Beach. Or are you in Washington or home today?
Well, I'm headed there today, John. I'm catching a flight here in just a little bit. But, yeah, we're here in Virginia Beach, headed back.
All right, now, look, Randy Forbes has got primary opposition. House of Delegates member Scott Taylor ran for Congress back in 2010. When you ran, you beat him. Now he's a House of Delegates member. You're an ex-Marine. He's an ex-Navy SEAL. Let me tell you what Taylor said yesterday, Congressman. This isn't going to go away. In a blistering release, Taylor said, leaders choose, speaking of the military, you're a former Marine, leaders choose to look after the person to their left and on their right. They run to the fight, not away from it, putting their physical or political self at risk for those who have committed their blood, sweat, and tears to get them where they are. Leadership is a responsibility and an honor, not a rank or a title. I mean, that is a pretty direct statement by Taylor, really challenging Randy Forbes' motivation.
I'll come right back at you on this. I think, frankly, it's a misuse of a reference to a uniform. And it's a misuse to combine, service in the military with this. Randy Forbes, not one Virginian asked for this. Well, there are actually a few who wanted this. They're all Democrats. This was a Democratic-led lawsuit that completely eviscerated Randy's district. John, here are the facts. It is not winnable. It's a 21% Obama district now. Virginia 4 is not what it was. I am in a district that was about a 1% Obama district, and I had a hard enough time winning. I ran for 17 months full time, and people barely thought we could do it. In fact, at first they didn't think we could do it. Think about that. I'm in a 1% Obama district, and Randy Forbes is now in a 21-point Obama district. There's not a Republican in Virginia that can win that district. So this whole reference of stay and fight, I think it's a false argument. There's no weight behind it. And frankly, I think it's self-serving. So that's just where we are on that.
For like a short interview.
All right, so basically, Delegate Taylor, you're saying his statement is self-serving. He's saying Randy Forbes coming into an area that he doesn't represent, never represented any of it. That's self-serving.
No, that's not true. Look, he has represented this district before in the sense that when he was a state senator, he had Virginia Beach residence. And look, he's only 9 miles away from Virginia Beach. This thing was brought on not through anything that he did. In fact, we worked really hard as a Republican delegation to keep the lines as they were. It's not easy raising money to defend a redistricting lawsuit, John. I mean, think about that. I've been calling people, so has Randy. We all tried to keep the lines as they were. And the Supreme Court said, no, you're going to have to run this election with these new lines that were drawn by a fellow from Berkeley, John, a fellow from California that was hired by the 3-judge panel. They have one objective. Think about this now. If people get the facts, I think they'll pivot and they'll be with Randy. This district was drawn for one purpose, and that was to elect a Democrat. This is not some type of, competitive, close district. This is a Democratic district. Speaking of the new Virginia's 4th congressional district, it is not the district that Randy's been serving with honor and with distinction for all these years. And to leave and to not send Randy back, that to me would just be really a disaster for this region. He has so much influence not only on our United States Navy, which is so important, but the Marine Corps, and also, interestingly, through Sea Power and Protection Forces, he also has a great deal of influence with the United States Air Force, which is, Langley, our Air Force base there. That's important. So this just makes so much sense to me. It's not about a person. It's not about an individual. It's about who can serve and represent this district best. And, we got precedent for this. Morgan Griffith, who I served with in Congress, when he ran for office, he didn't live in the district. And his district said, you know what, Morgan's the right guy to do this. And that wasn't even a result of redistricting. Now, this is through no fault of Randy's, and we only got the word of the decision of the Supreme Court last week. That's why when I see Randy Forbes, I thank him as a fellow American for being willing to put up with this. He's a good man. He ought to go back to Congress to serve and to lead this region.
All right, Congressman Rigell, that is a compelling argument, no doubt, for Randy Forbes to enter your district. We got this race a toss-up. I think he's in a tough battle. I know we chose Chris Blasavita as his general consultant.
I rate it better than that for Randy, but okay.
You know what? I'm never wrong about this stuff. I rated a toss-up. Plus, I'm predicting a big win for Trump tonight. We'll see how that, and Bernie Sanders. Congressman Rigell, we're out of time. I want to thank Congressman Rigell for being with us. Go to rigell.house.gov.